So you got to be super careful out there. And if you are in the market for a genuine watch and trying to avoid being scammed, be sure to try and buy from reputable dealers. I think it's better to be a little patient than jumping on a deal that's too good to be true, only to find out that your watch is a rather worthless fake.
Hey folks, hope you're all well. Thanks for tuning in. I haven't uploaded for a few days, but I am very much still alive, at least on the outside. Real life has kicked in a little bit though, and stopped me being able to make videos at the rate that I would like to. I just want to say thanks to everyone who's been leaving tips and information in the comments. Please keep it up, it's invaluable. But due to the aforementioned real life, videos are going to be coming out a little bit less frequently for a while. I am still planning on doing a video on the Cody backstory. Apparently making videos talking about serious allegations is now classed as online bullying. That's news to me. But it does seem like there are an awful lot of bully hunters out there now, trying to stop people talking about certain things. But I think we'll talk about it anyway, because it's still worth a look. So still working on that. Today's video though is about an incident that I've been wanting to talk about for a while now, and in the spirit of covering scammers and YouTube cover-ups and things like that, I thought I would just break it down on this channel so there is a record of it on YouTube, because it was something that fascinated me at the time, and it was a pretty mind-blowing event when it happened for a lot of people. Almost exactly 1 year ago now, a trusted YouTuber, someone who made top quality videos as well, had allegations levelled against him that he'd been scamming the absolute shit out of people in the most brazen way possible. I don't want to call the guy a psychopath or anything, but other people certainly did. As with all videos on the internet though, I ask that you enjoy this one as entertainment, but please look at the evidence and make your own minds up. I will put sources in the description, and if you like this kind of thing, please let me know by liking the video, and if you wouldn't mind, please subscribe to the channel, as it makes my YouTube enemies furious, and I very much like that. So let's get into the video. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the side of YouTube which talks about watches. I can't think of a better description for it, so I'm just going to call it Watch YouTube. Kind of awkward, but most of Watch YouTube tends to focus on luxury high-end timepieces, the kind of watches which viewers will often aspire to own themselves someday, or already own, or the kind of people who just enjoy watching videos about watches, watch nerds basically. I'm guessing at least some of you will be familiar with the Watchfinder channel, for example. It's a UK based channel, beautiful close-ups of watches and entertaining commentary, really good channel, I highly recommend it. The quality of their videos is second to none. They specialise in extreme close-up filming, known as macro, where you can see all the gears of the watch and the handiwork that goes into it. Now, Watch YouTube is kind of made up of quite a close-knit bunch of creators. They're all quite happy people, it all seems to be good fun, they give each other shout-outs here and there, and it's generally just a very entertaining and happy feeling part of YouTube to be on. It's full of well-adjusted, friendly people, unlike this corner of YouTube, which is basically just a clown world full of unstable nutcases who weren't socialised properly when they were children. And that's why I love it on this side of YouTube. But Watch YouTube is the polar opposite. It's generally made up of very pleasant people who are legitimately successful in life and don't take themselves too seriously. It's all white picket fences and good old-fashioned wholesome hobby talk over there. But that peace was shattered. It was early 2020, this time last year, when a cunning plan of this guy, Chris Essery of the Horology House channel, fell apart. He got busted trying to scam one of his subscribers out of $30,000, although he claims this was an accident. That's Australian dollars, so it's about £15,000. For a while, Mr. Essery was the rising star of watch videos, especially for watch videos filmed in macro, very much like Watchfinder. He was quickly becoming competition to Watchfinder. Chris Essery was the face of Horology House, and Horology House was his channel, and He was a really likeable guy. Don't take that from me, my judge of character is deeply flawed, but he's a really likeable guy. He was well liked and his watch reviews were top notch. They were excellent. He really did have so much promise, and he amassed a large amount of loyal subscribers to his Horology House channel. The channel's still up. It did disappear when this story first hit the internet, but it reappeared when the dust settled. You'll find the comments are still disabled though, and they've never been re-enabled after he put his channel back up, for reasons that are probably about to become clear. One of Horology House's most popular videos was a video showing people how to tell the difference between a Chinese-made fake Rolex and the genuine Swiss-made article, a genuine Rolex, and the reason they did this video was to show people what to look for so you don't get scammed when buying a Rolex. This is actually quite a useful video because the fake Rolexes are getting extremely good. Some of them cost over £1,000 and it can be very difficult to spot the difference between a real Rolex and a fake Rolex if you don't know what to look for, especially if you haven't got experience in handling Rolexes. There's a discussion to be had there. It's not the point of this video though. The point of this video is to highlight the fact that Chris Essery, Mr. Horology House himself, despite making this video showing people how to spot a fake Rolex to avoid being scammed, proceeded to attempt to scam one of his subscribers by selling him a fake Rolex and telling him that it was a real Rolex, which surely suggests that Chris Essery has testicles that are made out of solid brass to try and pull that off. Unluckily for him though, he'd messed the buyer around so much prior to actually sending him the watch that the buyer was quite suspicious when he got the watch. The buyer is a guy called Shoaib, and when he received the fake Rolex, he asked his dad to take it to the local Rolex dealer because he was out of town apparently, and the Rolex dealer basically laughed the guy's dad out of the shop. Now Shoaib also has a mate who had a genuine Rolex Daytona, lucky boy, and they compared the fake one to the real one, probably using Chris's own video. Maybe not, but it would be quite poetic if they did. At that point, Chris was well and truly busted. Shoaib got in touch with him and said, "Why have you sold me this worthless fake watch?" Chris quickly offered a refund and insisted that it must be a mistake, but he didn't appear shocked and he had no sense of urgency to actually fulfill the refund. So Shoaib obviously said to Chris down the line that he's going to go to the police about this, at which point Chris attempted to smooth it all over with him on WhatsApp, trying to keep it hush-hush. He even threw in a Rolex warranty card wallet with the refund when it was finally made. It took about 2.5 months for the refund to be made. Chris threw in a Rolex warranty card wallet with the refund as if it was some kind of bribe. Talk about a slap in the face. Trying to buy someone's silence with a plastic card wallet. Just the cheapest possible bribe you can think of. And it was probably a fake warranty card wallet anyway, because there are counterfeit versions of literally everything that comes with a Rolex, not just the watch, but the boxes, the warranty cards, and the warranty card wallets are all faked in factories in China. So anyway, Shoaib, obviously not being too much of a fan of being sold a fake watch by a supposed watch expert, and effectively just being treated like an absolute mug by someone who tried to take him for 30 grand, he and his mate didn't let it go. They made a thread on a website called Rolex Forums. This was obviously done after he'd got his money back from Chris. This post on the website Rolex Forums, this is what completely outed Chris Essery. They leaked all the WhatsApp correspondence between Shoaib and Chris, and they went into great detail about what had happened. These are what we call good guys. If somebody tries to screw you over, out them. Now Chris was sad about this, as we can see from his final messages to Shoaib. He's acting as if he's shocked that Shoaib dared to post about his experience with Chris, as if they've been through a lot together and as if they're mates. He's acting as if it's really sad times, which I find quite amusing. So yes, the watch side of YouTube was absolutely rocked by this story, and it was a great wee scandal, something to really get your teeth into if you like scandals. Not to take away from the seriousness of what happened, But it was just one of those things that was hard to take your eyes off. It was difficult to stop following it, and more information kept breaking every day, which is what tends to happen on YouTube. When a scandal hits, the information hits, and then more and more information starts coming out day after day. Quite similar to what happened in the case of our unpalatable friend Sean Atwood and his allegedly vulnerable podcast guest.
Hi, Daddy.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sure you do, but I've got videos about that, so you can go and look at my other videos on Sean Atwood on my channel. He's trying to sue me for talking about it. But in the case of Chris Essery, it just had all the pieces needed for a great story. A YouTuber / watch expert who makes really popular, very well made videos on how to spot fake Rolexes, selling a fake Rolex to one of his subscribers for a huge amount of cash. Shoaib's thread on Rolex forums ended up getting over 500,000 views and over 1,500 replies, so it got pretty big. It's by far the largest thread on that forum. I'll put a link down below to the thread so you can have a look through for yourselves. And it was this post on Rolex forums where we learned that Shoaib had sent Mr. Essery the cash for the watch and never received anything for 2.5 months. Shoaib clarifies on the Scottish Watches podcast that Mr. Essery's pretty sweet YouTube channel gave him false reassurances that he was dealing with a legitimate person. He trusted Chris falsely. All he got was excuse after excuse initially, and these excuses were laid bare in the aftermath of Mr. Essery being outed the way he was. And it wasn't only excuses to Shoaib, but it was excuses to other people who'd entered into transactions with Chris Essery. And just as a side note, I would definitely recommend the Scottish Watches podcast. I will put a link below to their interview with Shoaib because, as far as I'm aware, it's the only podcast that was able to actually get him on to talk about what happened. So it's actually a really important piece of the puzzle. But it was this thread on Rolex forums where people started making the suggestion that Mr. Essery might just be a stone cold psychopath. Now obviously it's not good practice for a psychologist to diagnose someone they've never had as a patient, but we're not psychologists, so we're exempt from that rule, and we can diagnose whoever the hell we want with whatever disorder we feel like diagnosing them with. And I'm not saying that's what I'm doing. I'm not saying that Chris is a psychopath. I'm just saying that I have some sympathy with those people who have come to that conclusion simply based on the kinds of excuses that Chris of Horology House came up with to explain the delay in getting the watch to Shoaib, as well as other excuses that had come up during his dealings with other people. Of course, he repeatedly blamed FedEx, customs, insurance companies, that kind of thing. But he also said that his parents' house burned down in the Australian bushfires, which was a national tragedy, obviously, and a really big deal, especially in Australia. And he also said that he heroically helped neighbours and family with that. He reminisced about the old memories that had been lost in the fire at his parents' house. If you're from Australia, I'm sure you'll comment below about what you think of Mr. Essery using that as an excuse. I can imagine now that it's not going to be pleasant. How do we know this was an excuse? Well, he posted a photograph of what he said was his parents' burning house, and the person that received that message reverse image searched that photograph, and it had been taken off Google. It was taken out of a news report from a year previously. It was not Chris Essery's parents' house. He just literally sent a photograph of someone else's house on fire during the bushfires and said that was his parents' house. He also said that his wife had a miscarriage. There's no way of proving or disproving this, but why would you, when dealing with a buyer, say that your wife has had a miscarriage even if she has? You wouldn't use that as an excuse. You would surely, trying not to mind read here, but surely you would say something along the lines of, I have a serious situation to deal with. And he also said that friends of his wife, a father and daughter, had died in a volcano eruption, quite a famous volcano eruption. All of this on top of somehow accidentally selling someone a fake watch as a real one for $30,000. It seems to me, as a casual onlooker, that Chris Essery is either the unluckiest man in the world and deserves our deepest sympathy, or he's a compulsive liar, fantasist who's devoid of normal human emotion, and he's doing whatever he can to try and gain people's deepest sympathy. It's obviously just very weird. I also find it very odd that he didn't know that you could reverse image search a photograph, but maybe that's just me. He maybe was just so arrogant that he thought he wouldn't get caught. So all these excuses came out, and multiple other people had come forward to say that they'd bought watches from him that haven't turned up. It really does kind of look as if there's some kind of scheme going on that has been exposed by Shoaib going public with his experience. There is at least a dozen people that have come forward saying that they've lost money or lost watches to this guy, although nobody has apparently been sold a fake watch by him again. It was only this gentleman Shoaib that was sold the fake, apparently. However, it's not a stretch to imagine that there's people walking around thinking they've done business with the guy that owns the Horology House YouTube channel, they've got themselves a nice deal on a nice Rolex, and they're actually walking around with a fake Rolex on their arm, not knowing. There's so much more to the story, and as I say, there's all these people that claim to have lost out as a result of dealing with Chris. A big part of the reason for that is that he actually owned the biggest watch buy and sell group in Australia, so he was quite a leading player in the watch world in Australia as well. He ran the Facebook page, which was Australian Buy and Sell Watch Group or something like that, and he was the administrator there, so he would ban anybody that would complain in the slightest about anything he said, and he was also able to obviously ban and delete people who complained about not receiving refunds, complained about being scammed, etc. So he had that kind of power as the administrator of such a huge nationwide group that traded in watches. It is worth noting that the trail, at least from what I can see, has gone completely cold. Horology House is back up on YouTube. As I say, it went back up a couple of months after this all came out. I'd imagine it probably makes pretty decent revenue due to the views that he gets. Unfortunately, his videos are good, so he's going to be getting lots of views from people just passing and wanting to see a watch review. I don't think he's really been putting many new videos up though, but his videos are still good. Just don't buy a watch off him, basically. Now, people will point out that he's not been arrested, or at least there's no news reports saying that he's been arrested, and therefore this is probably cyberbullying or something. But he did admit to selling the fake watch, and he does use excuses that are designed to elicit crazy sympathy from people that he deals with. He also put out this post on Instagram in which he admits he lied. And then he deleted that post and replaced it with the exact same post with the word lied removed from it, which is a little bit of a red flag, let's be honest. Chris himself has not commented since the dust settled. There was word that he was going to go on the Scottish Watches podcast. That never came to fruition, so we have no public comment from him about this situation other than that edited Instagram post that he made. According to Shoaib, he and a group of other people who claim to have lost money to Mr. Essery have gone to the police. So I suppose we await an update on that. I hope there is an update on this one, as I really want to know what is happening. Please do let me know in the comments if you've heard anything new on this one. Anyway folks, I'm going to leave this one there. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it's a little bit different. Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much to everyone who's made it this far. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.